Good morning, learners. Our subject for this morning is science for the fifth grade for quarter 2, week 7. And our topic is interactions in estuaries and intertidal zones. This is the introduction. Life on Earth is a product of different interactions in a region or geographic area where both biotic factors such as plants, animals, and other organisms and abiotic factors like weather, temperature and humidity, and landscape, rocks, soil, etc. work together. This area is called ecosystem. Living things cannot sustain life without non-living things. For instance, a mangrove tree needs water and muddy soil to survive together with other life forms. This lesson will discuss the interactions of organisms to their physical environment. Specifically, this part of the module will give you different activities that will describe such interactions in estuaries and intertidal zones. Estuaries are areas where salt water and fresh water meets or the brackish water. Normally, running water in rivers goes into the sea. Water in estuaries is less salty. The measures of salt in water is called salinity. Thus, the estuaries have low salinity, and the level of salt content of water affects the ability of the organisms to survive. Let us answer learning task 1. Organisms require energy to perform life activities. In this case, they need to eat food. Analyze the figure on the left side and observe the pattern how organisms interact and get energy eating, and fill in the blanks below based on the figure. So we have for number 1, plankton may be eaten by blank. Number 2, heron eats blank. Number 3, salmon eats blank. 4, shrimp may be eaten by blank. And number 5, freshwater mollusk, example, snail, may be eaten by blank. I will give you time to answer this. So let us now answer learning task 1. So for number 1, as we can see in the picture, so plankton may be eaten by small fish, crab, mussel. And for number 2, the answers heron eats blank, salmon, and small fish. And for number 3, salmon eats blank, small fish, stonefly larva. And number 4, shrimp may be eaten by salmon. And number 5, freshwater mollusk may be eaten by salmon. So those are the answers for learning task 1. Intertidal zones are area where the presence of water depends on the tides. During high tide, these are covered with water, and during low tide, the water diminishes and exposes the part of seabed area. This part of the seabed can be sandy, rocky, or muddy, depending on the presence of different materials. For learning task 2, just like in estuaries, organisms in intertidal zones need energy to live through eating food. Analyze the figure on the right side and observe the different organisms and imagine how they interact and get energy for eating. Fill in the blanks below based on the figure. Note the answers may not be in the illustration. So for number 1, hermit crabs eats blank. Number 2, limpet may be eaten by blank. Number 3, algae may be eaten by blank. Number 4, sea urchin eats blank. And number 5, chitons and limpets may be eaten by blank. I will give you time to answer. So let us answer learning task 2. So for number 1, the answers seaweeds, algae, and rockweed. For number 2, the answers sea anemone. For number 3, the answer is bird or the herring gull. Number 4, sea urchin eats periwinkle, limpet, and crab. And number 5, the answer is bird or the herring gull or seagull. This time, let us answer learning task 3. In both estuary and intertidal zone, organisms have different roles to perform. In this task, identify the organisms that perform the given roles. Choose the word or group of words in the box. And here are the words. We have salt marsh grasses, algae, phytoplankton, lichens, cyanobacteria, sea urchins, green crabs, mollusk, anemone, fish, shellfish, marine snail, small crab, sand fleas, diatoms, fungi, bacteria, tube worms, fiddlers, detritus feeders, and seaweeds. And here is the chart. So we have 3 columns. So we have the role, the description, and the organisms. So for the role, we have consumers. So description, they are organisms that produce food from sunlight and inorganic substances. Then we have consumers. So they are organisms that eat other organisms. And scavengers. They are organisms that eat food scraps and leftovers. And the last one, we have decomposers. So they are organisms that break down into that re- uh, simpler materials, the remains of dead organisms. Again, I will give you time to answer this learning task. This time, let us answer learning tasks. So for the producers, the organisms are salt marsh grasses, algae, phytoplankton, lichens, cyanobacteria, seaweeds. And for consumers, we have sea urchins, green crabs, mollusk, anemone, fish, shellfish. And for the scavengers, the answers are marine snail, small crab, and sand fleas. And for the decomposers, the answers are diatoms, fungi, bacteria, tube worms, fiddlers, detritus feeders, and seaweeds. This time, let us answer Learning Task 4. Make a model of ecological or energy pyramid showing the arrangement of reducers, consumers, scavengers, and decomposers. You may include the organisms that you answer in Learning Task 3. You may use scrap materials in making the 3D model of ecological pyramid. The figure below the figure below gives you the idea of the content of the pyramid. You may ask your teacher for the rubric of the activity. I will give you time to answer this. So here is my sample of an energy pyramid. So we have the decomposers, we have also the tertiary consumers, the secondary consumers, the primary consumers, and we have the light energy. And that concludes our lesson for today. And I hope that you learn more about interactions in estuaries and intertidal zones. Thank you, learners. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to notify you in my next video lessons. Thank you.